The invitation. The air was thick with the scent of decay. A dim, flickering bulb buzzed above, barely illuminating the cold, concrete walls. On the far end of the room, a camera stood on a tripod, its lens staring like an unblinking eye. The floor was smeared with something dark, something old. And then, faint breathing. Max's eyes fluttered open, his head pounding like a hammer against steel. His wrists were raw from the rope digging into his skin. His heart raced as the chilling realization set in. He was tied to a chair in a room that reeked of death. How did he get here? His last memory was a party. His best friend, Liam, had invited him to a private screening. Something exclusive, underground. "You love extreme horror, don't you?" Liam had said with a grin. "This one will change you." The room had been full of people like him, horror enthusiasts, thrill seekers. The film had started with a grainy, distorted image of a figure in a pig mask, staring directly into the camera. A distorted voice had whispered, "Welcome to the slaughter." Then, everything had gone dark. Now, Max was here, alone. A sudden click echoed through the silence. A screen on the wall flickered to life, revealing the same pig-masked figure. The mask was grotesque, stitched together from real flesh, the snout dark with dried blood. The figure held a bouquet of crimson flowers, petals dripping thick red droplets onto the floor. The distorted voice spoke again. "Tonight, you bloom." Max struggled, his breath quickening, but the ropes only tightened. From the shadows, something shifted, a figure stepping closer. He caught a glimpse of polished metal in the dim light. A blade. Then the screen changed. Footage rolled of the party from earlier that night. People laughing, drinking, watching the film. But the footage zoomed in on one person in particular, Liam. Max's stomach clenched. Was Liam behind this? The video cut to static, and the pig-masked figure tilted its head. Then the lights went out. The history of Pig 2, Flowers of Flesh and Blood. A legacy of extreme horror. Few films in underground horror history have achieved the same notorious status as Pig 2, Flowers of Flesh and Blood. A direct successor to Pig 1998, this film took the concept of extreme horror to disturbing new heights, blending surreal imagery with grotesque violence. Its origins are as mysterious as the film itself, fueling speculation, fear, and even legal controversy. Origins, a horror underground enigma. The Pig films are closely linked to underground horror filmmaker Adam Mason and the elusive production company known as Death Farm. Pig, 1998, was a raw, nihilistic experiment, a film with no dialogue, just imagery of torture, mutilation, and bizarre rituals. It was rumored to have been inspired by real-life snuff films, though no concrete evidence of this connection exists. Then, in 2005, a sequel surfaced, Pig 2, Flowers of Flesh and Blood. Unlike its predecessor, Pig 2 leaned into a more surrealistic, almost dreamlike horror aesthetic. The film followed a nameless protagonist trapped in an unknown location, stalked by a pig-masked figure who subjected them to unspeakable torment. However, what set Pig 2 apart wasn't just the violence, it was the psychological horror. The film played with memory, identity, and control, leaving viewers questioning what was real. The influence of Japanese gore cinema. Many believe Pig 2 was heavily influenced by Japanese extreme horror films, particularly the infamous Guinea Pig series. The second film in that franchise, Guinea Pig Flowers of Flesh and Blood, 1985, depicted a samurai-clad killer dismembering a woman in slow, almost artistic brutality. The film was so convincing that it led to an FBI investigation after actor Charlie Sheen reported it as a potential snuff film. Like Flowers of Flesh and Blood, Pig 2 embraced a hypnotic, ritualistic style. Every act of violence was framed like a macabre performance, making it both beautiful and horrifying. The pig-masked killer didn't just slaughter victims, it prepared them, treating them like living sculptures before their eventual demise. Had a cult following. Despite its dark reputation, Pig 2 has gained a cult following among extreme horror enthusiasts. It's often discussed in the same breath as August Underground, a Serbian film, and Cannibal Holocaust, movies that push the boundaries of what horror can depict. Today, Pig 2 remains elusive. Finding an original copy is nearly impossible, and many online versions are either heavily edited or fake. Whether a true uncut version exists remains unknown. But those who have seen it, those who have truly experienced its horrors, all say the same thing. Once you watch it, it watches you back. The Harvest. The darkness swallowed Max whole. His pulse thundered in his ears as he yanked against the ropes, his raw wrists burning. Somewhere in the room, slow, deliberate footsteps echoed. Then, click! A faint crimson glow filled the space, emanating from overhead lights. It was dim but enough to see. The pig-masked figure stood just a few feet away, head tilted as if admiring its prey. In one hand, it clutched the blood-drenched bouquet of flowers. In the other, a gleaming cleaver. Max's breath hitched. "Why are you doing this?" he rasped, his throat dry and aching. The masked figure didn't answer. Instead, it reached into the bouquet and plucked a single flower. The petals were wet, sticky. It pressed the flower against Max's lips. "A garden must be tended," the distorted voice whispered. Max thrashed, knocking the flower away. Panic twisted in his gut. The screen behind the figure flickered again, and new footage played. This time, surveillance clips from the party. The camera followed different people, faces he recognized, the horror fans, the thrill seekers. But then, one by one, they disappeared. The footage rewound and replayed in slow motion. Some were pulled into darkened hallways. Others were led away willingly, laughing, oblivious to the nightmare awaiting them. Then the camera zoomed in on Liam again. But not just Liam. Max felt the blood drain from his face. Standing beside Liam in the footage was someone else. Someone familiar. Himself. Max watched in stunned horror as the video showed him guiding people into the unknown, whispering in their ears, leading them to their doom. His own voice, distorted, alien, spoke from the speakers. "Tonight, you bloom." The realization hit like a gut punch. This wasn't just happening to him. It was happening because of him. Memories slammed into his mind like shattered glass. A promise made in the dead of night, the whispered invitation to an underground experience. The euphoria of watching terror unfold. He had helped lure them here, but he didn't remember why. Max's breath came in ragged gasps. He looked at the pig-masked figure, a question forming on his trembling lips. The figure reached up, fingers curling around the mask, and then it pulled it off. Max stared into his own face. A twisted grin spread across his doppelganger's lips. "A garden must be tended," it repeated, raising the cleaver high. The lights flickered and then darkness. The end.